everyone, I'm Michael.
And I'm Patrick, and you're watching an episode of Star Wars News and Views. Today we'll be talking about the slave Leia costume. And apparently what has happened recently was that Disney came out and said that they're not going to be featuring the slave Leia outfit or in any promotional material. And this was confirmed by an artist, J. Scott Campbell, for Marvel Comics, who is doing the Star Wars comic. And he said that they're not even allowed to, they're definitely not allowed to put her in the slave Leia costume at all in the comic books, or even in some sort of sexy pose, which is, I guess, pretty big news, seeing as she's been, plastered all over posters and promotional action figures and everything for a very long time, and it is somewhat an iconic, outfit for the actual series.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess this brings up the whole discussion about the sort of ethical or whatever you want to call it, aspect of marketing a role model like that to young girls. And I think that's the main concern. Not just that it's can be viewed as being sexist. I mean, in the context of the story, it makes absolute sense. No one's
sure.
They're not saying we're gonna new special edition. She gets covered up, right? It makes sense. Jabba the Hutt's a crime lord. He abducts this attractive looking woman, and he already has a dancing girl already, right?
Yeah.
I think the issue is that Disney is a little uncomfortable about knowing that she's a role model for young women, that if this is maybe not the healthiest thing to emphasize. I don't know, it brings up a lot of debate about, is this too PC? Because a lot of people are saying that it's going too far.
Yeah, well, I think one big issue with this is that in the original trilogy, essentially Leia was the only female protagonist or main character at all.
Pretty
much. And then to have the only female character in the entire series have to, dress up in a bikini at some point seems like it's a bit... I understand that it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world to have a woman in a bikini in one of these things, but to be the only character and have to have her in it seems come on.
Well, I guess we break it down. If the film was not written, designed, and directed by men, that scene would not exist.
Exactly.
You're not going to have Han Solo frozen in carbonate in a Speedo. Right? But yeah, I guess it's kind of... I guess I'll kind of miss it a little bit just because it is iconic.
Yeah.
Lucas got that, or I don't know if it was his idea, but whoever designed it, whether it was Ralph McQuarrie or whoever, there's a Frank Frazetta painting that is very similar to that from the 1960s, and he was very famous as an early fantasy illustrator and painter. So it's kind of, in a way, there's a historical angle where it's a homage to a very important artist in fantasy.
Yeah.
But also, he painted Conan the Barbarian. It's very, huge, ripped guys with, women, clamoring on them and cutting the guy's
very
head.
Little.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's okay, so there's a reason why it seems kind of sexist, because it's a homage to that sort of era and that sort of style, which I'm okay with.
Yeah.
But,
it's cool style. And... to go along with this, recently in an interview, Carrie Fisher was telling Daisy Ridley, don't let them put you in a bikini like they did to me, right? Fight that. And I know that at one point she saw, the concept art of her for this bikini and said, oh, that's okay, blah, blah, blah. But I think she kind of, didn't really want to overstep her bounds in accepting that sort of thing. Yeah. And she says, looking back now, she wishes that she did. Which,
or that she had fought against that a little bit more.
Yeah.
I think, just, it must be weird if you... because Princess Leia is very... famous, obviously, as an iconic character, so I guess for her to see probably the most common image, or at least the most famous and recognizable image of yourself in the media is you in a bikini, not because that scene is particularly good, but it's just it's Carrie Fisher in a bikini, that's why it's famous, because it's sexualized and objectified. And I don't know, it's I wonder how long they'll stick to this. At some point, I feel like they'll be okay, it's been 8 or 9 years.
Yeah.
Maybe we can start bringing it back in a limited, as long as it's reasonable and it's used effectively.
Yeah. It's again, I think my opinion of this whole thing, it's not that it's bad to have a woman in a bikini, but...
Well, it's kind of ironic, because in A New Hope, George Lucas, because she's running around in a gown and she couldn't wear a bra because you'd see it.
Yeah.
So he had them duct tape her breasts so they wouldn't bounce, because he wanted her to be not sexualized. But then by the time you get to Return of the Jedi, she's sexualized.
Yeah.
But it's worth mentioning too. Like a lot of women cosplay as slave Leia because it empowers them. It makes them feel attractive and sexy, and they get attention from guys. And people want to take their picture. Yeah. So you could argue that aspect, but I guess that's in terms of fans, not in terms of promoting the actual film itself.
And the thing about it too is that like Leia was always, or at the beginning in Star Wars, she was such a strong like female character that came out of nowhere, in the 70s, like, instead of being a damsel in distress, she pulls out the gun. Yeah,
they can't even rescue her.
Yeah, she's like, you can't do this properly, give it to me, and she gets the gun and like tries to rescue herself essentially, right?
Basically.
And you start off with this like really strong female character, and then like 2 movies later you put her in a bikini. It's like, come on,
And then she's kind of all lovey-dovey the rest of Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Oh, hold me, Han. Even Carrie Fisher's like, it was better when we were fighting.
Yeah.
So,
but anyways, on that note, she looks like she's gonna be, a badass in this movie. She's very like, wearing full outfit, like, strict general type thing.
Well, just to have an older woman portray an older woman, you don't see that very often, if ever.
Yeah.
So, that's I don't know. There's lots of different aspects to this. There's lots of pros and cons, and people say, oh, it's PC, it's feminist, and then other people say, no, it's misogynistic and out of date, and not in the modern times. I don't know. What do you guys think? Leave your comments. Keep things civil.
Yeah.
It's very easy for things to sort of spiral into like a flame war in terms of touchy subjects like this.
I'm okay with it. I understand why they're doing it.
Yeah, I wouldn't have made that decision, but I'm okay with the fact that they are because I understand their reasoning, and also I don't think this will last. Like, in 100 years, you're not going to have an image of slave Leia? I don't think so. They just want to take a step back for a while. That's my feeling.
Yeah, especially like right now when they're getting. I'm sure there's gonna be a whole bunch of young women or like little girls after watching this movie, like, oh, I want to watch the other movies too.
They want to be inclusive to everyone right now. They they have a black lead, they have a female lead, they have older cast members, younger cast members. It's very,
everyone has a place in the
exactly.
Star Wars, right?
So they don't want to they want to encourage new fans. They don't want to alienate any potential new young female Star Wars fans.
Yeah.
So I guess that's it. Leave us your feedback, leave a like and subscribe, and we'll see you next episode.